Hello, welcome, and thank you for coming to the second part of our Unicorn Mentor Masterclass. I'm Eugene. Thank you for taking your time to learn how to help entrepreneurs grow their businesses. I'm Eugene, and one moment. And here's the presentation. I'm Eugene, and I've been helping entrepreneurs grow their businesses since about 2010, maybe even a little bit earlier. It's almost 15 years. I worked with about 1,000 companies, and I have a greater than zero conversion to the unicorn. It's not the biggest conversion. I needed much bigger. I needed like 10 times bigger, but still it's greater than zero, and it's not a bad result. And I use this, I do this using my growth tracking methodology that I use myself and teach in my growth tracking school, where over 1,000 people had graduated from since 2016. And yesterday, we've been talking about how you can create and maintain high-ticket, long-term relationships with your clients, with the entrepreneurs, and bring them to great results. To do that, the first thing to do is to start working with them, with the founder, the CEO, on their whole business. On their business as a whole and not on some small part of it. This is what allows you to maintain this relationship for a long time. And the main way to do that is to focus on the main bottleneck in the business, because every business at every moment in time has exactly one main bottleneck on its way to growth. And to grow, you need to focus on this main bottleneck and quickly test hypotheses on how to overcome it, so that you fix this bottleneck and move on to the next, and then the next, and that's how the business grows. For that, we use the growth tracking framework, the very simple core framework. We start with goals, big goals of the company or of the founder. We find the main constraint, this bottleneck, on the way to those goals, and we form a set of hypotheses of how to overcome this constraint, and then we land those hypotheses on a weekly sprint to form a set of tasks needed to test the hypotheses to overcome the main constraint on the way to the big goal. And the tracker is a person who helps founders, entrepreneurs, CEOs do that. They meet usually once a week, sometimes once every 2 weeks. The tracker helps the founder find this main bottleneck, focus on it, come up with the hypotheses and the sprint. And then a week later, they get back to the tracker. Together, they look at the results of the week. Did it work or didn't it work? If it did work, probably there is the next. They fixed the bottleneck and something else became the main bottleneck, and they move on to the next one. Or if it didn't work, they might find a deeper bottleneck, a deeper problem that didn't allow them to do what they wanted to do. Here's an example. This company came to us with ambitious sales goals, ambitious sales plans, and to reach those goals, they needed to hire 20 salespeople, 20 new salespeople. But when we started to diagnose what's really going on with the business, we found that the HR team were busy doing things they had in their quarterly goals set some time earlier. And those goals were related to drafting some sort of very important regulations, business processes, something like that. A very important thing. But doing that, they had only 40 minutes a day left for this main task of hiring 20 salespeople, so that we're able to do just a couple of interviews per week. Is it possible to hire 20 salespeople doing only 2 interviews per week? It's not. But the management system, the management process, did not allow the owner of the company to realize, to identify this problem, to realize that the main thing, main constraint, main bottleneck was actually not taken care of. So, how do you find this main constraint? Here's one more case. Those guys came to me, it was a few years ago, they came to me in November and they told me, we need to test hypotheses. Somebody told them that I am the guy who can help them test hypotheses, and for some reason they believed they need to test hypotheses. So we started looking into what hypotheses they needed tested. I explained the process to them, and they told me, okay, thank you so much, we've got it, we know what to do, we can do it on our own, and they went on their own. The consultant's nightmare. On the first meeting, they got all of it, they understood what to do, and they don't need me anymore. But a month later, they came back because within this month, they did nothing because they were stuck in the routine. And this was their first main constraint, routine. They were working on the routine tasks instead of working on their big goals. Fortunately, they had everything in place in order to fix this bottleneck, to overcome this constraint. They had a chief operating officer ready to take over this routine. And a week later, they came back and the founder told me, okay, it's working, the routine is delegated, and people are working on those hypotheses, so what do I do next? Do I watch cartoons? This guy never watched any cartoon over the next few years, because the next thing we did was we started looking into their goals. It was the end of the year, so I asked, what is your goal for the next year? And it was, they told me, they wanted to grow 50%. This was not a very big business, but not a very small either, $5 to $10 million per year. And for business of this size, growing 50%, in my opinion, is not an ambitious goal. So we started to look what is possible in their market. And we found a couple of companies on the US market, this was not a US company, a couple of companies in the US market that were sold at $1 billion valuation with the revenue of $150 million. If you watched DuckTales, you probably remember Scrooge McDuck with dollar signs running in his eyes. That's what I saw at this moment, because even though this was quite a big leap for the founder, he roughly understood how to get there. He had an idea, he thought this is possible for him. And the company and the team started running towards this big goal. They started running much faster than it was possible for the company, much faster than they thought that was possible for them. And as they started working at the limits of their capacity, things started breaking. First, marketing broke, then production broke, and we started fixing what breaks. And every time we fixed this thing that broke, we made the company run even faster, and the next thing broke. And we fixed this one and the next one and so on. And as a result of this, over the next year, when they wanted to grow 50%, they actually grew 5 times, which was quite a good result for this company at the time. What we did with this company was we stretched it so that it runs much faster than it could, so that something broke. The thing that broke was the main constraint. So we focused on this main constraint and started fixing it, and when we fixed it, we stretched it again, and the next main constraint appeared. The next thing breaks, we focus on it, fix it, and so on. And that's how the business grows. But when I explain this thing about the main constraint to people, what I usually see is people start to find the main constraint somewhere they are experts with. Investors always find the main constraint in raising the next round. People who are new to mentoring startups usually send early stage founders do customer interviews. Some people always find the main constraint in the focus in the leader being unfocused, and some people always find a problem with the communication in the team because they know this thing. But that's not what we need. We don't need to find the main constraint somewhere you are expert with. We don't need to find the main constraint somewhere you can give them advice about what to do. We need to find the main constraint somewhere it really is. This is a phrase I heard from one marketing consultant who worked with his clients and saw the problems in their businesses. He saw that they are doing something wrong. He saw that they are doing things they don't need to do, things that don't lead them where they want to get. And he tried to advise them about what they should do instead. And for some reason, they weren't listening. People don't take sound advice. People don't want to hear your advice, even though it's obvious for you what they should do. It's easy to advise a pre-revenue first-time founder to go do customer interviews, and sometimes they will even listen. Not always. In most cases they won't listen even to this, but still it's an easy thing, it's quite an obvious thing, and it's easy to give that advice. But this first-time pre-revenue, pre-MVP founder who needs advice to go do customer interviews probably will not have enough money to pay you for your work, and probably he is not the one who will build the next unicorn in your consulting or investment portfolio. and the founder who will build this next unicorn, would probably not listen to your advice, or they would need much more sophisticated advice. Advice in this case wouldn't probably work because the founder works on their business 24/7, while you see this business once a week at best, and probably just the first time. How the hell do you know what they should do with their business? How the hell can you tell them what to do with their business? One more thing I heard once from a consultant, a mentor, who was a great expert in some area, in one specific area. In this area, people came to him looking up to him and wanting his advice. But when he tried to talk to them about another thing, about their go-to-market strategy, instead of this technical thing he was expert with, they told him, don't worry about that, we'll figure it out. Please tell us about this thing you're expert with. Because in this bigger area, in the big picture, they don't look up to him as an expert. He doesn't have enough authority to give them advice. What they hear from him, they hear as an opinion. And what happens then is his opinion versus their opinion. Imagine which one wins when this is opinion versus opinion game. Advice works, but only in your area of expertise, and only if following this advice won't make them get out of their comfort zone. Because if they need to get out of this comfort zone, they will hear it as your opinion versus their opinion, and their opinion will probably win. Another thing I often hear from mentors, consultants, is their problem with the first meeting. I once had a chance to watch a mentor who's at the partner level with one of the biggest accelerators in the United States. And a startup had him booked for 4 consecutive meetings. At the first meeting, they came to him with questions. They asked the questions, and he was able to give them answers with great insights. It was valuable. For the next second meeting, they didn't have that much questions already. They did ask something, and for the third meeting, they were thinking how to utilize this opportunity with this guy who's at the partner level in one of the biggest top 3 accelerators in the United States. I don't remember, but probably they skipped the fourth meeting they had booked with him. Mentors often get squeezed out during the first meeting because they answer all the questions. The founder, the client, gets all the answers, and then there's no next meeting, there's no big long-term relationship, there's no paid contract as a result of this meeting, because they've got everything they needed and they move on to the next mentor. On the other hand, not giving out enough value during this first meeting also doesn't work. Teasing them with like, I will answer this question next time, they're not that stupid most of the time. And the mentors who give advice, who just answer the questions, get stuck in this loop. They get those first meetings and they don't get the next thing. Here's Eugene. He was a student at Growth Tracking School, and one of the things he figured out is how not to advise the founders, but provide them with a lot of value by mostly listening to them.
Hello, my name is Eugene and I'm based in Bangalore in India, and I'm helping startups and founders and CEOs of European and Russian speaking companies to enter the market. Also, we help founders to be investable. I came to growth tracking school to improve my knowledges regarding acceleration of the founder strategy and acceleration of their success, because for me it is important not only to give some consultancy regarding the market entry, but also it is important to see the capability of the startup founder to grow and enter the market. First of all, the goal of a growth tracker to listen the team, to understand their problems, their focus deeper than just to sell them your strategy and to sell them your vision. Because from consultancy point of view, I have a lot of strategies in mind and I have my own vision and my own opinion on their problem. But what is the biggest problem of all consultants all over the globe? That even you will create the best strategy from, like, you buy it from, I don't know, big four guys. It will be like a document without any soul and without any acceptance and any participation of this company in this strategy. And if the founder or the CEO or the core team, they are not involved to create their own strategy in the market, they won't buy it. If they are not buying it, they won't perform it properly, because they don't understand what is behind the words there, what is behind the scene. If it's their strategy and they confirm their strategy, they perform. And that was the one of the cool insight for me. I have here the whiteboard with the small stickers, and one of the sticker is just shut up and listen. It is really important. If even you have your own opinion as a consultant, as the guy with the huge experience, just to listen and understand the core problem, because maybe the core problem is not in the strategy, but the core problem could be in the mindset of the founder or something else. So shut up and listen. I implemented this methodology to my current product pack. So we offer tracking as the part of our services, and we already have already sold tracking services with the price almost like $3,000 per month for a couple of teams who are doing their global expansion for Latin America and for Indian market.
So what do you do if you have found this problem, but then they come to you and ask, okay, what do we do with this problem? What should we do to fix it? And you don't know. It's always a tough moment for a consultant, a coach, a mentor, when you have to, when they expect you to know how to fix the problem they face, and you don't know. You are expected to know. You're a mentor. First thing here is, nobody knows. Even if you think you know what they should do, how to fix this problem, you probably don't, because every business is different, every situation in every business is new, and it never works the same way. Business is a big journey through uncertainty. Nobody knows. But then even if they don't know and you don't know, there are several ways to find out what to do. First, they might have some hypotheses by themselves. You may have some hypotheses, but even if you don't have those hypotheses and they don't know what to do, there can be hypotheses about where to find this expertise you both lack. They can hire someone, they can find an expert, they can take a course, they can figure out a hack to not do this thing at all. But mostly, if they come to you and ask, what should we do with this thing, and you don't know, the first thing you might say to them is, I don't know, what do you think? And they probably had already thought about that, and they will start talking, and you will have the things to work with. You will have some of their ideas to work with, and together you will figure it out. So all you have is a set of hypotheses. Those may be hypotheses on how to fix the problem, or if you don't have those hypotheses, there will be a set of hypotheses on where to find an expert who has those hypotheses. And your job is not to know what to do. Your job here is to help them identify the problem and come up with hypotheses on how to fix it. And then you start this cycle of testing hypotheses. We call it HADI cycle. H means hypothesis, A, action, what will we do to test this hypothesis, D, data, what will we measure to tell if it worked or not, and the insight is how do we interpret the results. Did it work or didn't it work? If it did work, if the data shows that it did work, there will be the next problem, the next constraint and hypotheses there. If it didn't work, we have to come up with a new hypothesis, and then we continue working in this cycle of testing hypotheses over and over again. And that's what happens in a business so that it can grow faster. So instead of knowing what to do and mentoring them, telling them what to do, don't be a mentor, just ask questions. And by questions, I don't mean a question like, don't you think you have to go do customer interviews? Because this is not a question. This is an advice. By questions, I don't mean this thing on the left. Have you done customer interviews? Nope. Then you should do customer interviews. No, I don't, and they stop answering your calls. But this sequence of questions on the right is a little bit more like a sequence of real questions. What's the problem with your sales funnel? We pitch, but they don't buy. Okay, tell me about one particular person, one particular customer who went away and didn't buy. They describe something. Okay, what was the problem you were solving for this person? I didn't ask. In the reality, this conversation would be much longer. It doesn't work that easy, but still the structure of it will be just about the same. It will be a sequence of questions leading to the entrepreneur, to the client, figuring out by themselves that they have to ask something to their client. And to do that, they go do those customer interviews. Your job is to help the client figure out by themselves what their problem is instead of telling them what it is and what to do. If you have a strategy for them, if you know what they should do, first thing is to avoid saying to them, telling them what is your strategy and what they should do before they realize the problem this strategy is aimed at. And to do that, you diagnose the business, you find the problem, you make sure they see it, they see this problem by asking this sequence of questions. And you wait for them to come up with a request for the solution. And only then can you give them this solution. Because if you start by giving them the solution, all you do is you tell them your opinion, and this becomes this opinion versus opinion game. And if you find yourself in this game, you've lost. And all you can do is go back a couple of steps and start talking to them about the problem. So, how to find the main constraint? There are four main ways to do that. And first of those, we had already discussed earlier, is to speed up the company and look what breaks. This will be the constraint. In this example earlier, when we started to run, when we made the company run much faster, that is, it was able to, first the marketing broke, then the production broke. Those were the weakest link. When you pull a chain, there is one weakest link that breaks at some point. And within those bigger stages, there were smaller ones. For example, within the production, first we didn't have enough people to handle all the work that they needed to do. Then, when we fixed this, they had not enough components shipped to the factories to produce whatever they were producing. Then the purchasing department didn't work the right way. Then they had problems with executing the production plan. And within this process, at some point, within this part, at some point, there was this guy at one of the factories who was supposed to come to the computer, open the email, and reply to the email with the request for production. He was supposed to do this quickly to confirm the request, but he did it usually on the next day. And this was the main constraint for the entire company for some time. This one guy who didn't know how to properly use a computer was holding the entire company from growing. They fixed it quite quickly, but still this one guy was the main problem in the company. Now, the next way to find the main constraint is to look for the unfinished work. Imagine you have a great product. You have people in marketing generating leads, a lot of leads. You have salespeople doing great work at sales, but it doesn't grow. And they start looking, guessing, why doesn't it work? And they think, why doesn't it grow? And they think, probably we need more traffic, more leads, and they increase the marketing budget, the advertising budget, but it doesn't grow. Probably they think it's because the sales department doesn't work quite well, and they start providing sales managers with some training and improve something else in the sales department, but it doesn't grow. Maybe it's the product, maybe the product is not good enough, and they invest in R&D and they improve product and they make this product the best on the market, but it doesn't grow. And somewhere down in the basement, there is this overworked designer. The salespeople send customer proposals to this designer so that they design it, make it beautiful, and send out to the customers. But this overworked designer doesn't have enough time to handle all of those proposals, and they get sent to the customers a couple days later. And the customers, they just don't want to wait, and they go to the competitor. When you find this queue of unfinished work of those proposals that need the design to get sent out to the customers, you can fix this bottleneck. You can hire another designer, or you can create, I don't know, templates so that the sales managers can send out those things by themselves. And you eliminate this bottleneck, and sales managers start working quicker, start sending the documents to the customers, and their sales training starts to work. The conversions increase, and they can handle more leads, and so this increased budget starts to work. And the improvements in the product also start to work, and everything starts to grow. Just because you found this constraint by looking where the unfinished work accumulates. Most of the time, to find the main constraint, you would look in the sales funnel, in the sales pipeline. If you see there one stage in this pipeline where a lot of deals do accumulate, this probably means that this is the main bottleneck in this sales pipeline. And you focus on this stage, you fix it, you make the deals go through faster, and the entire pipeline starts working faster and better and converting more leads, generating more sales. Now, the third way to find the main constraint is to find the root cause of different problems you have. Every business always has lots and lots of different problems. Investors are not happy, clients are not happy, not enough new sales, cannot delegate sales, production requests increasing wages, and so on. Different problems at different parts of the company. But if you start analyzing the relationships between those problems, you can find lots and lots of cause and effect relationships between them. And you can find that one of those problems may be the root cause for all or most of the problems in the business. This root cause will be the main constraint, because fixing these problems will affect all or most of the other problems and will allow the business to grow. Now, the last way we usually use to find the main constraint is to apply a typical standard strategy. If you have a step-by-step strategy for this type of business, you can apply this strategy to the current state of the business and find where you are in this step-by-step process right now. This will be the main constraint. For example, for an early stage startup or an early stage product, there is usually a step-by-step typical process of how to get from the idea to the scalable business, to the scalable sales. It consists of two parts, two big stages. First, you find the value, you talk to the customers and find what they need. And then the second big stage, you test the sales channels to find a channel where you can create profitable economics and scale. And each of those two big stages consists of smaller steps that should be done in order. First, you find get some value proposition, hypotheses for value proposition. You find leads for interviewing. You confirm that they really have the problem. You model the unit economics to make sure there is money in this problem. Then you build your MVP. You confirm that it works and provides them with the value they expect, and you make your first manual sales to confirm that there is indeed the value in this segment. And then you move on to testing sales channels. You refine the value proposition for the specific channel, you acquire users from this channel, you build the MVP for this channel and the sales tools, landing pages, whatever, in this channel, and you make your first sale in this channel. And then you grow the sales so that you can measure the conversions, and you make sure your unit economics are profitable, and then you make sure that the economics remains profitable when you try to scale. When you got there, you have a scalable sales channel. You can put more money into this channel and get more money out of it. You can invest and get the result. You can grow there, scale there. This is a sequence, every step in which should be only done after the previous one. So we can create this spreadsheet, this simple table. We call it the traction map. The rows there are customer segments or sales channels, and the columns here are those small steps from the previous slide. And in every cell, we write the result of this step in this segment or channel. And the step we are at right now, we paint in red. And there's a very simple rule. Don't go to the right of the red cell, because this red cell is your main constraint. You have to focus on this red cell and overcome this constraint. So there are those four main ways to find the main constraint that we usually most often use. You speed up the company to look what breaks, or you find the unfinished work, or you find the root cause of many or all the problems, or you apply a typical strategy like the traction map to the business, to the current state of the business, and look at what step in this step-by-step strategy this business is right now. And those constraints, those bottlenecks, usually form a sequence. You fix those constraints one by one, and this creates sometimes a typical, a standard sequence, sometimes a very unique sequence. Like, for example, for a typical early stage startup, you first have to do the customer interviews and confirm the problem, then you have to identify the target segment that you want to focus at, then you build the lead generation, then you build the sales process, then you make sure the economics are profitable, and then you start pumping more leads, pumping more traffic, and looking what breaks. This will be the main constraint. You fix it, you pump more, look what breaks, and repeat this over and over again. Or for a typical B2B startup, it may look a little bit different. You find the value, you confirm that the product really delivers this value, then you build a repeatable sales process, you learn how to sell this thing, then you find scalable acquisition channel, and then you delegate the sales from the founder to the hired salespeople. Then you build the profitable economics. Then you make sure all the processes, like production process, are scalable, and you pump more, look what breaks. Pump more, look what breaks, and repeat that over and over again. In every business, this sequence will be maybe similar to this, but still it will be unique to this business. This will be a sequence of constraints this particular business needs to go through to reach their goals. And this sequence is their strategy, because the strategy is a sequence of constraints the company should go through in order to get to its goals. And here's the thing. The faster the company is doing that, the faster it grows. The organization's speed is defined by how quickly it overcomes its main constraints. The faster you do that, the faster you find and fix your main constraints, the faster you grow. So, today we talked about how to grow the business. You have to focus on the main bottleneck in the business and quickly overcome it and repeat it over and over again. And to do that, you have those 4 ways to find this main bottleneck, this main constraint. You can stretch the company and look what breaks. This will be the main constraint. You fix it and stretch the company even more. You can find the unfinished work or the stage in a funnel, in the sales funnel, for example, where a lot of deals accumulate and the conversion drops. You can find the root cause of different problems, or you can apply a typical step-by-step strategy if there is a step-by-step strategy for this type of business and this situation in business. And to do that, to find this main constraint and to help the founder, the team, the client figure out what to do, the most important thing you can do is avoid giving them advice, but instead help them figure out by themselves what to do so that they can do it and get to big results they want. Tomorrow, same time, same link, we'll be talking about the biggest, the most important question: how to sell this thing, how to sell your mentorship, coaching, consulting, whatever you call it, we call it tracking services. And to do that, we have to diagnose the business. The way to sell is to diagnose the business, and the sale happens at the end of this process. So tomorrow I will tell you how the diagnostic process works so that you can sell your consulting, coaching, or mentorship or tracking services. And I will tell you as well how to learn this methodology, growth tracking. What do you need to know? What do you need to learn in order to apply it and create your high ticket long-term relationships with your clients and get them, bring them great results. Thank you, and if you have any questions, you can ask them now. If you are watching us in LinkedIn and you want, for example, to watch the recording of this or the previous episode of this masterclass, please click on this link, or, well, it won't click, type this link, or go to this QR code, photograph this QR code, and you will get to the web page where we have the recordings of this masterclass and additional materials. Please, if you have questions, ask them right now, and you can do that in the chat, for example, sorry, or in the comments, or you can go with the questions directly to me or to someone on my team. And if you don't have questions, then thank you so much, and see you tomorrow, same time, same link. Same time, same link. See you tomorrow. Thank you so very much, and goodbye.